In a small town on the outskirts, there was an old and abandoned children's orphanage known as Willowbrook Children's Haven. Over the years, this place had become a legend among the townsfolk. Once a happy home for children, it was now forgotten and deserted. However, a dark story unfolded within its walls. A story linked to the presence of Slender Man. Willowbrook Children's Haven had been established years ago by a wealthy family from the town. The sole heir of the family was a young girl named Sarah. Sarah had wanted to preserve her family's legacy and help the town's children, but behind the orphanage lay a darker tale. Sarah's father had mysteriously disappeared, and the townsfolk believed he had been taken by Slender Man. Sarah had been a loving mother figure to the children in the orphanage. However, one night she had a strange dream. In her dream, a tall, slender figure approached her. This figure had no face, only a black tie in her dream. This figure came closer to her and whispered something to her. The dream had felt so real that she woke up covered in sweat. The next day, Sarah couldn't forget the faceless man from her dream. While talking to one of the children, she asked the child to draw something. When the child finished and handed her the drawing, Sarah's eyes widened. The figure the child had drawn was an exact match for the faceless man from her dream. Moreover, the child identified the figure as Slender Man. Sarah acknowledged the eerie resemblance, but dismissed it as a mere coincidence. However, strange occurrences began to unfold around the town and the orphanage. At first, the children began having peculiar dreams. Then, strange noises were heard in the orphanage at night. Children claimed to have seen a black shadow outside their windows. Sarah chose to ignore these events, believing them to be figments of the children's imagination. However, one night, she awoke to find her bedroom completely shrouded in darkness. Slowly, she looked around and saw the long, slender figure of Slender Man standing beside her bed. This figure had no face, just a black tie. Terrified, Sarah recoiled, but Slender Man continued to draw closer. Strange whispers echoed in Sarah's mind, and she felt the whispers were trying to communicate something to her. Slender Man's black tie seemed to dance in the air, and Sarah could hear his murmurs. Over the next few days, Sarah's personality began to change slowly. She started treating the children in the orphanage harshly and began punishing them ruthlessly. The children noticed that Sarah's eyes had become vacant and dark. Eventually, the townsfolk came to believe that Sarah had been taken over by Slender Man. The children's haven had to be abandoned, leaving it as a deserted and haunted building. Sarah's disappearance marked the beginning of a terrifying tale linked to Slender Man in the small town. The townsfolk passed down this terrifying story through generations, firmly believing in Slender Man's presence. His shadow still loomed over Willowbrook, remembered as a dark threat.